I actually kind of did already speak a little bit about benefits, vacations, and perks. Ton of time off. Early retirement, meaning your teachers who, in my opinion, are the stalwarts of this nation that propel our students to opportunity to invest in your lives. They work much longer, a lot longer, to get to retirement age. The firefighters, because of the risks, they can retire at 53 as long as they have 25 years of service. I hope I'm not talking too fast for y'all. I hope you can take notes. I know that's important for you for this assignment. I know it's extra credit, but so, however, we do not have sick leave. So for you young folks, I'm finding and discovering that a lot of people coming in the fire service that are young are much smarter and much more ability to multitask and do so many things. Invest time in yourself and study about, one, what do you like, but will it take care of you? I really recommend that, because for firefighters, when you retire, there's no medical. You have to figure out how to pay for that. So planning is key when you step off into your careers, whatever that may be. There is 2 retirements. Most agencies will offer you a matching. Like I have a 457. It's a retirement plan, totally separate from the state offered law enforcement and firefighter retirement plan. So that's up to me and how much I want to put into it. If you put into it from the beginning and keep that up, you'll do very well. It'll help cover some of the medical costs. So I get it. I got 3 daughters. One's 15 and she's in Zoom land a lot. So, but I still look forward to someone speaking up. Top 5 skills, since I unfortunately can't interact with you, I'll move right to this as far as what you might think they are, unless someone would like to offer up something. Character. Right across the top. Just about any job, you're going to need some of those top pieces right there. Excuse me. With regard to character. So integrity, trustworthy, honesty, team player. You'll be going into people's houses simply because you're wearing a uniform that they identify as trustworthy. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you will be extended the trust by someone that you don't even know to go into their home, into their bedroom where they're having a medical emergency. They have valuables all over the place. And if you can't be trusted, not going to work. Integrity goes along with that. Honesty, when you're dealing with some very challenging things and you're dealing with organizational structures and interpersonal stuff where people have varying religious, personal, political beliefs. And if you don't have a level of honesty and being a team player and this ability to get along, be flexible, and frankly, be loving and kind, it's going to be tougher in this career. So public image is everything. These things don't just run themselves. We have to continually prove and demonstrate that we're professionals, and also collect the data on that and provide it to, for me, I literally do this to my bosses, city council, the city manager, and that's based on our image and how we're doing. It will determine how well we are continue to be funded when we put in requests. It matters. I know that's kind of boring, but it's going to take shape and make sense to you here just in a few short years. And I have an explanation that marked there about waking up and functioning. So several people I've met that are in training or in school and want to do this career, and they find out that at 1 o'clock in the morning, with just a slight tone and a red light, you've got to wake up and make incredibly life and death decisions in a matter of seconds. I'm not trying to over romanticize that, but it is a fact. And if you have a hard time even finding your toothbrush when you wake up early, then, I mean, we all ease into this thing. But if you really love the job, that'll come. Plus, you'll have 2 other people on your teammates coming and rattling your bed and saying, hey, you better get up. And that's happened, and we laugh about it. But you got to be able to get up and move and think quickly. I'd love to tell some stories, but I want to get through this. I have a story on that, and hopefully I can get to that in the end. Unsuccessful traits, pretty much the opposite All of those. I'll give you a second in case you're writing these down and bolstering your credit by doing extra credit. Poor communicator is probably one of the key ones. If you can't speak what you're thinking, if you can't establish rapport with your teammates, and more importantly, well, equally as important, the people that you're on the scene with, not going to go well. That said, don't be intimidated by these things if you think you don't have some of these skill sets. That's why we're a team. I particularly, it sounds a little grim, but I'm really good. In my opinion, it's a little, sorry, I'm trying to be humble, but when someone passes away, that's a challenging thing. You're walking them through that, especially when it's an elderly person that their spouse of 75 years. That's not easy for some people. That's not a problem. You don't have to be masterful at all these things, but that's why you're a team. That's why you rely on each other. And that's also why in the station you train and work together to enhance those skills. So, application process, that's pretty much it. There's always a written. Physical agility, don't be intimidated if you don't feel you're in the peak of fitness. I'm not either right now, but I can still do the job. And so interview, cannot stress that enough. And if you truly are interested in this job, talk to me, reach out to me. Don't forget my name or my number. Just Olympia Fire Department, you can find me, Kevin Bossard. But the interview and communicating and selling yourself and portraying your character traits in a 10 to 15 to 30 minute snapshot of time, it's hard to do. And the more you practice that, the better you're going to do at any job. So psychological exam, most people get freaked out by that. What are they going to find out I'm crazy? I'm not crazy, but I had the same thoughts. I was like, oh my gosh, what are they going to learn about me? And we all have things that go through our minds and stuff that's like, whoa, where does that come from? Totally, it's totally normal. And the psychological exam really is more to measure, how fit are you for the stresses of the job, And so I know you're ninth grade, but if you think about this testing or this being in the fire service, those 3 or 4 years will come fast, and then you'll be thinking about this psychological exam. So just remember that. Don't let it stress you out. It does for most people. And then there's, after all that, provided you jump through the hoops of all those previous things that are listed, they'll give you a conditional job offer, and then there's probation for a year, literally, where you can be let go if it's just not working out for any reason. I'm going to move on, though, for sake of time, okay? And there you go. As you would expect, I'm sure Ms. Finfrock's already discussed this stuff, or will, or you've heard about them. I'd be shocked if you didn't. Resumes, cover letters. Interview is the key. I've already said it. And then jot that down, eatstress.com. Great life skills. This one specifically about fire service interviewing, but eatstress.com is a great introduction into how to manage your stress and how to plan and practice for interviews. Pretty well covered this. In my, I'm going to pause for a second, make sure there's not any questions. So career opportunities within the fire service, there's so many, and there's more if you're in a bigger department. So I'll list them quickly, maybe write down a few. But paramedic, just being the driver and the engineer meaning pumping the engine, and all the work that comes with that. Overcoming those elevation changes when you have to push water through a pump. Being a lieutenant, one in charge, that is the key person of the job. They're the ones in the right front seat of the fire engine or the ladder truck, and they pull up and they start the initial incident action plan. Battalion chief, they're in charge of the entire shift. These 24-hour shifts that we have, they're the ones that ultimately show up, assume command or establish command and take over, whether it's a horrific accident on the highway or a fire. They're also the ones that get to enjoy the joys of personnel complaints and working through that on shift as well. Training division, it's a daytime position. You're literally in charge of developing and delivering training. And there's prevention, which gets into fire investigation and code work, building buildings, which is what I'm currently doing as the fire marshal. And then there's also fire inspectors that go into commercial buildings and make sure that the commercial business is being maintained properly per the code. I'm refreshing my mind on this, folks. Honesty is key. I wasn't, and it was a hard go. I left high school, graduated, did great, liked school. Just being honest with you, I didn't feel challenged. I didn't push myself, and grew up and didn't have much at all on a dairy farm. And 5 days after I graduated, I went with a friend to Alaska and commercial fished. It went well. It worked. I knew how to work, and I was confident. But in retrospect, I would highly recommend that you develop a plan. Those will serve you much better. So I didn't have a lot of life goals, but I didn't play the victim, but I didn't really think about the fact that mom and dad, is as great of a childhood as they gave me, they couldn't afford to. And so but they ushered in a good moral code and hard work, and I took it from there. So with my story in mind, I would recommend that you do those things, the moral character side of just how to exist in this world we're living in right now, but also hard work, but then make a plan. Start digging in. We're living in a world where you can really hone in, through technology and just research things that you might be interested in. I think I'll move forward there for sake of time. Career choice. With the time off, my gosh, travel. I mean, when I was on shift, I take 1 day off. And you think about 20 or 48 hours off, work 24 hours, and then 48 hours off again. If I just take 1 day off, that's a 5-day stretch. That's more vacation than some people get an entire year. And that's just taking a day off. That's just changing shifts with someone. So I've had frequently times when I was on shift where I was off for a month. You want to travel, you want to mountain bike, if you want to be outdoor, if you want to have just any interest at all, you can foster with this job. So it definitely fit with my life goals. And the bigger part, though, as far as goals, is it pushed me, it challenged me in so many ways, just to learn and more about my world that I live in. So I think I'm getting towards the end, because this is one I always like to mention. I know Ms. Finfrock appreciates it too, but I cannot establish enough. We live in a world, and forgive me, I'm going to be a little bit opinionated here. So we live in a world of social media where folks are not necessarily accountable for what they say. They can throw out there and, list their frustrations with someone or something, and that lives with you. So I can tell you for sure, in the last 2 or 3 years, there is, I would say 3 or 4 people we chose not to hire because of what we discovered. So if you care about your future, say you are like me, where you came from, it's just tough. Mom and dad don't have money, and you're going to make it and give it a go on your own, then don't stack things against you. Pave that road in your favor. Don't reach out and put things out there that are going to come back to damage you. It's already tough enough right now, so just don't do it. And so thank you for entertaining my rant there, but trust me, it will serve you well if you do not engage in that kind of stuff. And you still can. But being clear is kind. Being kind is an option. And not engaging is an option. So I would really consider that. We need your voices, but there's a right way and a wrong way. And I will go on to the next one. Oh, I'm there. Questions? What time, Ms. Finfrock?
Yeah, we are about at time. So if anyone has any questions, type them in the chat, unmute and ask them. Now's your moment.
And I will add in there, we have a ride-along program, Olympia Fire Department. I'm pretty sure District 5, Grace Harbor Fire District 5, and Elma has the same, I think. And I think, gosh, I thought I had my number in there. As a lasting parting shot, take care of yourself and each other. Don't let anyone tell you that you cannot, that you can't. I asked my grandma a long time ago, and she looked at depression, and I said, Grandma, if you were to give me advice, what would it be? She said, don't let anything stand in your way. Go after it. Don't break the rules. Don't break the laws, but go after it. Don't stop learning.